Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We're glad to have you join us. I am Lydia Ochi. President Muhammadu Buhari has spoken with his Guinea-Bissau counterpart, President Umaru Sissoco Embalo, shortly after surviving a military coup attempt. A statement by the President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says, President Buhari congratulated Embalo on surviving the coup attempt and commended the loyal troops in Guinea-Bissau for the show of patriotism leading to their spectacular victory over the disloyal elements of the military. The president condemned the attempt to subvert the established constitutional order in Guinea-Bissau and extended the goodwill and support of the government and people of Nigeria to the Guinea-Bissauans and the Embalo administration. President Embalo assured President Buhari that the situation had been brought under control and normalcy fully restored. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari is assuring Nigerians in the northeast of the massive turnaround in their respective communities from the protracted insurgency to peace, stability, and sustainable development in the coming months. This was while inaugurating the Presidential Committee on the Repatriation, Return, and Resettlement of Internally Displaced Persons in that geopolitical zone of the country. State House correspondent Adam Osambo reports.
2015, I pledge to Nigerians that I will restore peace in the Northeast and return it to the path of development and growth. I remain committed to this promise.
The inauguration of the high-powered committee followed the increasing gains recorded in the battle against terrorism and insurgency through the combination of both kinetic and non-kinetic methods. Already, tens of thousands of internally displaced persons have returned to their ancestral homes and formally resettled.
Going forward, we aim to take more action-oriented and outcome-driven implementation approach that will lead to visible and sustainable results.
The committee is to, amongst others, develop a 3-year plan of action that will provide a clear pathway for the restoration of peace and development, give dignity to the affected population, ensure coordinated peace-building and reconciliation programs, as well as implement a phased plan for the return and resettlement of IDPs and restoration of livelihoods.
Let every member of this committee know and understand that there is an enormous task ahead of us. On this momentous occasion, history beckons and Nigerians call on you to be the team that will finally chart this new path to restoration of sustainable peace and progress in the Northeast. And I strongly believe this could lead to the bringing of a template for addressing insurgency and instability in other parts of our country and across the world. Failure to deliver on this task you have been assigned is not an option.
The Presidential Committee comprised the Ministers of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Justice, Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Interior, Defense and Foreign Affairs, as well as the National Security Advisor. Also in the committee are the Chief of Defense Staff, Inspector General of Police, Directors General, Department of State Services, National Intelligence Agency, Northeast Development Commission, and the National Emergency Management Agency. Other members include the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence.
The entire Northeastern State Government will give maximum support to this committee. We will provide the necessary support to the federal government under the distinguished leadership of Mr. President. We shall provide all support to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and others and the military to ensure that this process yielded the desired result.
The Presidential Committee members charged by the President to adopt, amongst other guiding principles, greater accountability, delineation of duty, and community-driven methods in addressing issues at hand are also expected to submit a monthly progress report. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
5 months into the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, there are indications that Nigeria is on the path of a transparent fiscal framework in the oil and gas industry. Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, told Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream during an oversight to the organization. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Ogunshola reports.
Beyond this atmosphere of banters was a robust engagement aimed at assessing the level of implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act by the organization.
What we are here to achieve, quite frankly, is that the signing into law of this act by Mr. President has given us, the President Ninth Assembly, an ample time to ensure the full implementation, the full takeoff. We also believe that since we are here, you'll give us more information about the way and manner you intend to explore the frontier basin, of course.
Giving an overview of the operating environment, the Chief Executive Officer, NNPC Limited, disclosed that building confidence among investors to deliver values to shareholders is an evidence that PIA has come with bundle of benefits.
And today we're in entirely a new situation in the oil and gas industry. I can confirm to you also from my interactions with our peers and partners across the globe, we probably have one of the most transparent fiscal systems in the world today, clearly very competitive in every respect in the world.
On the concerns raised by members of the Committee on Frontier Exploration Services, the Chief Executive Officer identified security challenges and activities of pipeline funders as major hindrances. The committee also oversees the Nigerian Nuclear Energy Regulatory Commission, where it employed the agency to implement all its capital projects in the year 2022. In Abuja, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Strict implementation of provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act will signal the international community that it is no longer business as usual in the nation's petroleum sector. This is coming from the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream on its oversight to the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission. Again, National Assembly correspondent Dayo Ogunshola will tell us how it all went.
It is the first week of resumption of the National Assembly, and members of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream are already on the move. The mission to the Petroleum Resources Upstream Regulatory Commission is to assess the level of implementation of Petroleum Industry Act. The committee was clear that non-implementation of PIA would be a pointer to the failure of its leadership.
So we are now letting the industry know that the National Assembly is fully out to ensure that every single provisions as enshrined in the Petroleum Industry Act is followed to the letter without any form of ambiguity. The task ahead of you is enormous. It's enormous. That's why we must constantly work with the steering committee to ensure that you are properly guided without infringing on your independence, because that's what the industry is looking at.
We are very determined in ensuring that we perform in line, operate in line with the provisions of the Act. Suffice for me to say that we equally recognize the fact that your support, of course, which we have been enjoying since our assumption of office, is very key.
While assuring the Commission that National Assembly is ready for any amendment of the Act in line with the current realities, the committee encouraged the Commission to be firm with its mandate as the 21st century regulator in the oil and gas industry. In Abuja, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Still from the National Assembly, stakeholders have advocated a legal framework to block existing gaps in the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011 to address challenges of the Council. This was at a one-day public hearing on a bill to amend the Act. held by the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribirin has the report.
It is barely 11 years since the Financial Reporting Council of Nigerian Act was signed into law. But this act has remained a setback for the council to perform, given the current realities in the global economy. However, the Ninth National Assembly is on the move for an amendment of the act to make it functional.
Today's public hearing is a product of our continuous desire to perfect our processes through legislative interventions, consistent with the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians and in relation with Mr. President's change agenda.
The stakeholders are kindly requested to make advantage of this opportunity to make the hearing a success and achievable, especially in promoting transparency and accountability in public governance.
Stakeholders in their submissions favor the amendment as it seeks to strengthen the statutory functions of the council.
The recommended amendment seeks to introduce flexibility and proportionality in financial provisions to circumvent the present rigid provisions in the Act.
The Office of the Auditor General always welcome and support any effort towards strengthening any agency of government.
We are in support of this bill.
The committee has taken inputs from stakeholders, but an agreement has to be reached by both chambers of the National Assembly. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribirin, NTA News.
In another development, Senate has urged security agencies to ensure the rescue of 38 persons kidnapped by gunmen in Ruwan Godia, Katsina State. This followed a motion by Senator Bello Madia, which noted that the incident occurred on Sunday, the 31st of January. The motion explained that despite government's efforts in curbing insecurity in the country, these crimes have persisted. Senate called on the government to take drastic actions to protect farmers. It also urged the federal government to send enough military personnel and fighter jets to apprehend the bandits and restore normalcy in the affected communities.
And further worried that if this menace is not drastically promptly addressed, the consequence is going to be huge on food sufficiency, since the affected communities are mostly farmers.
When we declared the bandits as terrorists, my understanding was that they are going to be dealt with ruthlessly now. I wonder whether that is the case.
It's not.
The military, like some of our colleagues have said, need to wake up.
The alleged lopsided recruitment into management cadre positions in the Nigeria Social Investment Trust Fund has caused the House of Representatives to launch an investigation. The resolution was in response to a motion from Representative Ismail Tijani stating that the ongoing recruitment into the NSITF negates the principle of federal character, as only people from a particular part of the country are being recruited. The investigation is to be conducted within 4 weeks by relevant committees. The investigation is expected to recommend appropriate sanctions on anyone found culpable. Now to security. The Nigerian Air Force says airstrikes at Ilela in Safana local government area of Katsina State on 30th January 2021 have led to the elimination of several terrorists under the camps of notorious terrorist leaders, including Gwaska Dankarami and Alhaji Abdul Karami, confirming the incident. The NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, said the feat occurred when NAF platforms under Operation Hadinkai obliterated a rocky cave on the outskirts of Ilela village, which the terrorists used as a safe haven after carrying out attacks on innocent citizens. The aftermath of the strikes revealed the location engulfed in flames, with not less than 43 dead bodies of terrorists counted within the vicinity, including the body of Alhaji Shingi, the brother of another terrorist called Auta, who was also killed by airstrikes on the 1st of January 2022. While thanking Nigerians for their cooperation, the NAF says it will continue to work with sister agencies until all threats are destroyed. In another development, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, is seeking further collaboration with the Nigerian Army to strengthen the firepower of the men of the Corps. This was among issues discussed during a visit by the Commandant General, NSCDC, Ahmed Audi, to the Nigerian Army headquarters in Abuja. While appealing to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, to assist the Corps in the area of training and equipment, the Commandant noted that complexity in the fight against insecurity demands stronger synergy among relevant security agencies.
We want to learn from you, and we would like to say that anytime you see what we are doing is not in tandem with a global best practice, we would like you to call our attention.
The recent history of the Corps, we know that the Army play a key role in its training, and we are still doing that. And we are always pleased to see you and see your activities and improve like you have always done. We urge you not to relent, but continue to do that. No one service or individual can do it alone.
The Army Chief stressed his willingness to cooperate with other security agencies to stem criminality in the country. You're watching Nationwide. It's time to go over to Lagos, where Adiola Komiakere is standing by with more reports. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Lydia. After the initial euphoria that greeted federal government's decision to suspend planned fuel subsidy removal, experts have expressed worry about the economic impact of missed opportunities which the country is supposed to harness from full deregulation of the petroleum sector. Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
The pump price of petrol has always been a contentious issue in Nigeria, pitching the government and other managers of the economy against the consuming public. For the umpteenth time, the federal government had to suspend its well-publicized intention to remove fuel subsidy.
But for me, I find out that if they suspend it, it is better for now.
We just finished COVID, so what can I say about it? So it's better they suspend it. I stand by the suspension.
To these experts, the dynamics of the sector, as well as the letters and spirit of the recently enacted Petroleum Industry Act, however, dictates otherwise.
Businessmen and women have spent monies, huge sums of money, in anticipation of the deregulation so that they can invest into this industry and then for the betterment of Nigeria.
Some elements will take advantage of protests by the labor union and cause mayhem in the country. So our government was very much conscious of this.
The federal government, according to the Minister of Finance, is expected to approach the National Assembly with an amendment to the budget that makes provision for another 6 months beginning from July. In order not to breach the PIA, there is a need for government to tinker with certain sections of the law.
There has to be a preemptive action before that time, and that is the issue of government coming up boldly to say that the section of the law on this matter has to be amended.
Acknowledging the need to curtail further flights to inflation in the country, these experts say shelving the decision to remove fuel subsidy at this time is a heavy sacrifice in the interest of peace and security in the country. In Lagos, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
There is a renewed effort to redefine the automobile industry in Nigeria, and as a way of achieving impactful results, stakeholders are calling for the adoption of more local content to create jobs, as the present state of assembling plants is negatively affecting the fabrication and design subsector. Michael Olaleye reports.
Nigeria seems to have been turned into a graveyard for foreign used cars. This because the performance at the automobile sector is low, leading to reliance on imports to meet local demands owing to insufficient domestic vehicle production. This was not the case in the 1970s, when the nation can boast of 6 active automobile plants with capacity to meet the transportation needs of the people. Although the National Automotive Design and Development Council says at present there are 31 licensed manufacturers of vehicles with capacity to produce 205,000 automobiles, just a few are working because of funding challenge. Abiodun Oshokoya belongs to the maintenance and repair subsector of the industry. He shares his experience on how the private sector is supporting and promoting indigenous skills based on the prospect of the huge market yet untapped.
There are opportunities where we can actually bring up automobile graduate entrepreneurs within 90 days, and they are ready for the market, so that we can promote instead of depending on Tokumbo parts every minute. Most of the parts used on the vehicles can actually be remanufactured.
It is a noble initiative setting the right path to developing the automobile industry, but the worries of practitioners like Abiodun Oshokoya is for the sector to be developed beyond assembling and fixing to proper fabrication of locally made vehicles.
When you bring in SKD, the vehicles has been assembled. The only thing that is not there is the engine and the gearbox, maybe the windscreen, front windscreen, the windows, and they come in here, they just put in those ones, and then the vehicle is ready. But if it's, assuming it's CKD, at least we know that more people will be employed because you need to join all the parts.
Nigeria, however, is entrenching policies that will promote adoption of 100% local content in vehicle production, and government research institutions are taking a huge leap for the actualization. A good instance is the unveiling of an electric car and solar-powered vehicles charging station by the University of Lagos. Although this will augment research and learning, but it is a futuristic innovation looking beyond the fossil fuel era.
It is my prayer that very soon we will launch and mass-produce renewable energy-powered vehicles, of which innovative Nigerian youth are an integral part of their conceptualization, design, and development.
Indeed, there is huge potential in the automobile industry in Nigeria, but stakeholders say utilizing local materials for fabrication and design will translate into meaningful job opportunities and wealth. In Lagos, Michael Alaleye, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos. But don't forget that you can still follow this news live on our website at nta.ng/live and on YouTube at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News, Twitter handle at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network News Updates. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now a bit of politics. Stakeholders of All Progressives Congress in Kano State met with the chairman of APC Caretaker, an extraordinary convention planning committee in Abuja, in continuation of the reconciliation of differing interests in the state. Maman Mohammed, Director General, Media and Press Affairs to Governor Mai Malabuni, in a statement said Senators Ibrahim Shekarau and Kabiru Gaya, Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa, Leader House of Representatives, Senator Barau Jibrin and some representatives of the state government attended the meeting. The statement adds that participants expressed satisfaction with the approach and expressed optimism that all differences will be settled. Members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have been warned against court actions in breach of the party's constitution. Chairman PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibrin gave the warning when he led other members of the board on a visit to the National Assembly caucus of the party. John Yaku has more.
It is a bridge-building process of the Board of Trustees to unite its members. The BOT chairman believes that the National Assembly, with its caliber of politicians and representatives of the people at the grassroots, they are a force to work with for the party to achieve its goals.
It is my strong belief that the National Assembly caucus must work with the BOT to assist us carry out our functions as stated in the party constitution.
Members of the National Assembly caucus of the PDP thanked the Board of Trustees and pledged their loyalty to the party to succeed.
Tell our party, this is the time that we should invite true democracy. And there must be transparency in all the primaries that we're going to organize. Let the popular people be chosen. The issue of imposition should be shown in our party.
The BOT has scheduled more of such visits to party dignitaries and groups. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA.
It's still nationwide. We now go over to Ibadan. Kemi is standing by with more reports. Hello, Kemi.
Media and welcome to Ibadan. Victims of NSA's brutality are to be compensated in Oyo State. Governor Seyi Makinde stated this while receiving the white paper on the panel of inquiry sittings in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Correspondent Ayomiku Ajibola tells us more.
The governor will receive the report from the chairman of the panel, Honorable Justice Badejoko Adeniji retired, assured that the panel effort will not be in vain and that his administration will soon implement some of the recommendations, while assuring that the state government will provide automatic scholarship to 23-year-old Samuel Ogundeji, who was falsely accused of stealing a banker's wallet and brutalized by men of the default SARS, which resulted into blindness. The governor commended the Justice Adeniji-led panel for paying the first semester fee, accommodation, feeding, and clothing need of the 23-year-old man. The governor equally stated that there will be a restitution to the families of policemen slain during the crisis, noting that the panel's recommendation did not cover the area, calling on the Commissioner of Police in the state to come up with an addendum to that effect.
Police were also victims. Some policemen, got killed. They bought the police station at Ojo, also in Shelly. They are Nigerians as well. They are part of us.
121 petitions were held to finality and were done Senegal for award of compensation. It
will be recalled that Governor Seyi Makinde inaugurated the Judicial Panel of Inquiry on NSA's brutality on November 10, 2020 in Ibadan. Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
Eligible voters in Ijebu and environs are taking advantage of the opportunity provided by the continuous voter registration exercise to update their records and register afresh ahead of the 2023 general elections. Correspondent Joel Popola has details.
Just as the political parties and their prospective candidates are preparing for 2023 general elections, the electorate are also bracing up for the election by performing their civic responsibility. In the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, Ijebu office of the Commission is gradually becoming a beehive of activities, with eligible electorates trudging the office on a daily basis for various needs, such as card replacement, transfer and fresh application.
We believe that at least with this kind of officers, we are going to have a positive result.
People come to change the polling unit to another polling unit.
I have my permanent voter's card in preparing for the 2023 election.
The electoral officer in charge of Ijebu says INEC is partnering with all relevant stakeholders to sensitize the electorate to improve the turnout.
You've not been to online to do anything as regards this exercise, you can as well come to our office. You just walk in and let us know what and what you want.
The CVR is expected to end in July. In Ijebu, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And that's it for me, Ibadan. Lydia, it's back to you.
Thanks, Kemi. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment in the two appeals seeking to overturn the December 20th, 2021 judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, voiding Andy Uba's participation in the last governorship election in Anambra State as the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chimuba was in court and now reports.
Filed by the APC and Andioba, an APC governorship candidate in the election. Both are contending the judgment of the Federal High Court on the grounds that the court erred in law in holding that the APC did not conduct a valid primary election and therefore did not present a valid candidate for the election. After adoption of brief of argument, counsel to Judge Moralo, Chris Uche, SAN, urged the court to dismiss the appeals for grossly lacking in merit. Counsel to APC Mahmoud Magaji, SAN, urged the court to allow the appeal and set aside the judgment of the lower court. The three-man panel of the appellate court, led by Justice Stephen Ada, after listening to the parties, reserved the judgment for a date to be communicated to the parties.
Federal High Court in Oka, it was determined that primary election was held and Senator Andy Uba won the primary election. But at the Federal High Court in Abuja, the decision was that the election was delayed and was not conducted on time.
Only appealed, we are not satisfied with the decision of the lower court or the trial court.
We have filed all our processes showing why the Court of Appeal should uphold the decision, the well-considered and well-reasoned judgment of the Federal High Court.
Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court had in December 20th judgment held that Uba was never a candidate in the election held on the 6th of November, having emerged from an illegally conducted primary election held by the party. The court also held that the plaintiff Judge Moal, an APC aspirant for the election, succeeded in proving that the APC did not conduct a valid primary election from which Uba claimed to have emerged as the party's candidate. In Abuja, Viera Chumuba.
We now go over to Sokoto. Sadia is standing by to give us more reports. Sadia?
Lydia. Governor Amin Waziri Tambol has acknowledged the efforts of the Nigerian Army in tackling security issues in the state and pledged government's commitment in that direction. The governor was speaking as special guest of honor at the occasion of the West African social activities organized by the 8th Division Nigerian Army, Sokoto. Shehu Muhammad Detti reports.
The sporting event is held annually by various army formations and commands across the country. It took place at the 26th Battalion Parade Ground. Troops representing various ethnic groups in the country entertained officers and men of the 8th Division, their families and friends. It also featured a tug-of-war between soldiers' wives and female soldiers, among others. Governor Amin Waziri Tambol, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Saidu Umar Ubanduma, urged the officers and men of the 8th Division to redouble their efforts in view of the current security challenges the security operatives are battling with in the country. He commended the Nigerian Army for sustaining the annual event, describing it as means of showcasing the cultural diversity of the country.
They have done very well, and it's highly commendable because it fosters unity and it displays our cultural diversity.
The General Officer commanding 8th Division Nigerian Army Sokoto, Major General Uwem Bessi, said Wasa had been an age-long tradition in the Nigerian Army that provides an opportunity for various army formations and units to socialize and celebrate their achievements during the year. The GOC reiterated commitments to performing their constitutional mandate.
The situation has gradually improved, and you yourself can testify to the efforts of the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies. Everybody is putting his contributions.
High point of the event was recognition of merits awards to personalities. In Sokoto, Shehu Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
In preparations for the 2022 local government election in Kebbi State, media practitioners across the state have been urged to maintain professionalism in their reportage, which is key to a hitch-free election in Kebbi State. This was the position of stakeholders at a media roundtable ahead of the 2022 local government election in Kebbi State. Abdul Jalil Muhammad Bawa reports.
The media practitioners are among the stakeholders in free and fair election. Ali Yakub Dabai is one among the media practitioners drawn across Kebbi State for a media roundtable ahead of the 2022 local government election in Kebbi State.
One should have to wait for the official release of the report from the State Electoral Commission, and your own responsibility is only to write situational reports.
During the training, unbiased reporting, the media as a major contributor in conducting free and fair election, transparency and accurate reportage, among other issues, dominated the center stage.
This occasion will also contribute to building stronger bonds between the SIEC and the media towards a stronger local democracy in Kebbi.
The chairman, Kebbi State Independent Electoral Commission, represented by the Commissioner, Publicity and Voter Education, Mustapha Usman Kaoji, described wider coverage by media during election as key to enlightening the public on fairness and credibility of an election process. Therefore, cautioned the misuse of social media and reportage.
You have to remember that in an election, the best media ethics must be seen in reportage, otherwise the media can cause chaos.
The NUJ chairman, Kebbi State, Hamza Galadima Zuru, assured accurate reportage from journalists in Kebbi State.
It was worthy of playing the role we have been playing for a long time. Is something we are appreciative.
The roundtable discussion is a collaborative effort of Kebbi State Independent Electoral Commission, the European Union, and the European Center for Electoral Support. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Muhammad Bawa, NTA News.
It's now time for another break. More news with Lydia right after.
Good to know you're still with us. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter at NTA News Now, Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network News, for updates. It is a fact that attaining a literate society reduces the social evils in a nation and brings about development. Now, February 2nd is here, World Read Aloud Day, set aside to motivate children, teens and adults to celebrate the power of words. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, is utilizing the day to sensitize pupils on the importance of reading culture.
Few citations from these students show the power of reading culture.
Every morning, Thomas' friends liked his morning growth.
Read aloud, share stories, are food for thought for children and adults.
At the school level, one way we can foster and strengthen reading culture is creating debate clubs.
But despite this display of competence, not everyone knows how to read and write. This informed this sensitization initiative to encourage students and motivate them on the power of reading.
The World Read Aloud Day aims at expanding children's interest in books, vocabularies, comprehension, grammar, and attention, which could be seen as a free vaccine to literacy. Read aloud bring about confidence everywhere, especially as we listen to our kids just now that read. That alone promote confidence in the children.
Today provides us all with the opportunity to introduce alternative ways of reading instruction and to engage learners outside the classroom.
Children were advised to imbibe good reading culture, read aloud, and demonstrate the hidden strength, while parents are encouraged to tell stories or read aloud to their children to help them become better writers and readers. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Next on our lineup is Enugu, and Mina is already waiting to give us reports from that zone. Hello, Mina.
Dear, good evening and welcome to Enugu. Victims of flood and communal crisis in Iweze North and Udenu Federal Constituency of Enugu State have received relief materials to ameliorate hardship arising from the incident. Comfort Aim, who was at the Grote Where's Enough local government area venue of the flag-off, reports that relevant agencies witnessed the distribution exercise.
Over 150 communities makes up Where's Enough and Udenu Federal Constituency of Enugu State. And about 30% of the indigents were said to have been affected by flood and communal crises that rocked the area, leaving them homeless and helpless. Until a member representing the people at the Federal House of Representatives took the message to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The result of that proactive step by Simon Atigwe metamorphosed to the relief materials: 800 pieces of mattress, 800 units of mosquito nets, 800 units of blankets, 610 kg bags of beans, 610 kg bags of rice, 600 bags of maize, 150 20 liters of kegs of vegetable oil, among others.
I want to achieve my maximum. I want to make my people happy. I want to develop.
Flagging off the distribution on behalf of DG NEMA, Zonal Coordinator Major Eze says the items were approved by the federal government to support the disaster victims.
DG advises community leaders to engage neighbors if there are any point of disagreement so that these issues can be resolved.
Representative of the state governor called on members of the National Assembly to always take the welfare of their constituents seriously. The atmosphere speaks volume on level of gratitude to the federal government by the people.
I'm feeling all right because of news we got today about our brother Atigwe and their police.
Community leaders, on their part, are expected to champion the ideas of tree planting to act as windbreakers during windstorm. In Enugu, Comfort Ayim, NTA News.
Community approach in the fight against drug abuse will contribute largely to the effort of government at eradicating drug addiction among youths. This formed part of the submission of stakeholders at an awareness campaign in Owerri, Imo State. Beatrice Anyam has details.
This campaign aims at creating awareness among the people on the effects of drug abuse and illicit substances to human health, especially the youths. The campaign, anchored by the Drug-Free World Africa, involves pupils from various primary schools as well as youths from secondary and tertiary institutions in Imo State who embarked on a roadshow through major streets in Owerri and market areas with one message: say no to drug abuse. The walk terminates at Bongo Square for awareness talks on harmful effects of drug abuse.
Lack of knowledge can be very dangerous. So it is very important for the youth and everybody to know the devastating effects of drug to the human life.
Some of the students speak.
Drug abuse, especially children and reigning in the society today, is of no benefit to human race.
Drug abuse should be stopped in the society. It is not good for anybody.
Our youth are really dying. They are dying mysteriously because of the mkpurumiri and the other drugs that they are taking.
The Commander, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Imo State, Ruben Abbey, and other stakeholders who are worried by the growing rate of drug abuse among youths suggest the involvement of parents and teachers in the sensitization efforts to catch the children young.
The government, on its own part, is giving us a very, very strong support in fighting this cause to make sure that the issues of drug are reduced to a very minimal level.
Parents should be encouraged to get drug education and teach their children.
The sensitization is expected to intensify with visits to other local government areas of Imo State. In Owerri, Beatrice Anyam, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Lydia is back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Mina. A 4-day workshop for journalists on reportage on migrants' rights violation within the African borders has commenced in Abuja. Omenka Amarachuku reports that the event by Kudi Radio International is also to highlight travelers' rights.
Is an old, long human activity that has both positive and negative consequences. Over the years, many migrants have suffered various forms of human rights violation within and outside the African borders. It is to this end that capacities of journalists selected from Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger Republic are being equipped with relevant skills of reporting issues of migration as well as travelers' rights.
You can go into investigative journalism and discover how this thing could be, how it looks like really. What is the real picture of what is truly happening?
This workshop will train the journalists to know how to go about their work.
For adequate monitoring and reportage of the borders, project codenamed Watchdog Sahel Routes is being introduced.
So we try to introduce programs that were not originally for culture. Now it's about dialogue, it's about how to bring this conflict, how to communicate with them.
The essence is to coordinate activities of migrants, reduce migrants and other travelers' rights violation for a secured borders within the African sub-region. Umenka Mrachuku, NTA News.
Update on World of Sports with Clement Oloruntoba.
All is now set for the first semi-final fixture of the ongoing 2021 Africa Cup of Nations between Burkina Faso and Senegal. The two countries go head-to-head in a West African derby for a place in the final at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium on Wednesday. Both teams have not won the competition in their history, but have come close with Senegal finalists in 2019 and Burkina Faso in 2013, having lost 1-0 to the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
It's going to be an evening match, counter, because the two of them will surely come to the party at the end of the day. But I want to give it to Senegal.
Meanwhile, Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, will host the return leg of the 2020